In 2020, we moved out of the suburbs of Southern California and we decided to go look for land. Ultimately found land out in the country. And we moved from a 2,200 square foot, basically sardine can house to this. So we're at 5 acres, about an hour and a half away from the big box stores outside of city limits in Northern Idaho. And we love it, and I'll tell you why. Before I tell you why though, be sure if you're interested in building, homesteading, or you're thinking about moving out of the city into country life, we're building our own homestead here and building our dream house. It's right over here, and we've been building it for the past year. Getting close to getting done, so follow along. Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. Any kind of engagement that you can do on this video always helps because I'm trying to buy a tractor. So if we can get that ad revenue money at some point, that would be awesome. Thank you for your help. So let's talk about this though. We used to live in Southern California, and the houses in Southern California were built on top of each other. And when I say on top of each other, I could reach out and touch from hand to hand, touch my neighbor's house and literally be right there. We're on top of each other. And at the time when we bought, or when we left, the houses were going for about 1.1 million for a 4-bedroom house. It just wasn't affordable. It wasn't what we were looking for, and we were looking for a big change. After we packed up, we sold all of our stuff. We headed into the RV, and we traveled until we could find our land. And we ended up finding 5 acres. And it was great living in the RV because we were able to see the different areas, see what each area was like, and really get a feel for it. And so if you're thinking about buying land, I can't suggest RV travel enough. I'll definitely do more videos about living in an RV while building, things that you need for an RV and all that kind of stuff. But it was extremely beneficial for us to live in the RV. Now, being in this far away from the city, especially like today, for example, I had to go and drive to go to Walmart and Home Depot and do those kinds of things. We're about an hour and a half away from the nearest city with big box stores. We're up in Northern Idaho, and that has really caused a lot of changes in our life. We used to live right down the street from Target, and I think this is probably the biggest difference from when we were living in the city. It wasn't so much different. I think the RV was a good transition because we were able to go from place to place, be closer to cities if we wanted to, and really have the freedom to travel and find what we liked. So that was really, really beneficial and helped transition. But now we are far away from the city. So it takes an hour and a half to get there, an hour and a half to get back. So anytime that we go out about twice a week, maybe less if we can, and we don't really like to, or we don't miss the stores or just the shopping. Back when we used to live in California, I used to go to Target literally every single day. Like if I was out of something, I wouldn't just figure out how to be without it. I would go and buy it. Like if it popped into my head, I would just run to the store because it was 2 minutes away, literally 2 minutes away. Home Depot was 2 minutes away. And so it's a huge mindset change in terms of having to deal with what you have, having to prepare and think about what you need. I buy so much less junk, whether it's like just junk toys for my kids. And I remember this too, when we were going in and packing up all the stuff, like I was just doing handfuls of toys that were like giveaway toys, like Shopkins and like all these other pieces of junk that we would buy and spend money on that didn't really have any value or add any value except for the initial giving and like opening. The kids were excited, but there was no other kind of joy or like value that those junk and accumulation provided. So being far away from any major like big box stores is really, really helpful in that we don't buy junk all the time. We kind of only buy what we need, or if there's something that we actually want, we have to consider if we want it and think about it. It's not as easy just to go down to the store and buy whatever you need because it's not there. It's a while to get there. So you really have to be committed to getting it. This is my well house, and we put in this well house. And the other thing that helps, and I think this is just a different mindset, is that when something breaks, like for example, my water softener broke, and we were in a situation where I didn't have the right parts to fix it. And instead of just like calling somebody or just running to the store to fix it, I figured out a way to get it done. And what this does is it makes me become extremely, extremely well, like I understand all the systems in my house. I know how my septic system works for when our septic system broke. So our septic system right here, we actually drove a telehandler on it and broke it. So being that we live far away and that there's not like a bunch of local businesses, I had to fix it. If something breaks, I have to fix it. I have to figure out how to fix it. So that gives me the ability to learn how to do. I've done everything on this house, right? Where I've done the septic, I've framed it, I've plumbed it, I've wired it, we put in our HVAC system. Everything that is in this house has been put there by us. And I think that's really cool, because one of the main goals that we have with this homestead is to be more self-sufficient. So when it comes to being more self-sufficient, we have our own water, we have our own septic and sewer system, we have our own food that we grow. We didn't get to the point last year where we didn't have to go to the store, but hopefully we're going to become a lot less dependent on the big box stores, because we're doing a lot more meat birds and growing things. We're just learning so much stuff that is helping us to be more self-sufficient. But on top of that self-sufficient, like in terms of needs for food and items, we're also learning tons and tons of skills, just because the necessity of having to do it yourself. And so, I mean, all of the services that we have, and like if we needed somebody to come and repair our well, for example, our well guy lives in a town that installed the well, he's like an hour away. And so to get him to come out on a Sunday or something, it'd be difficult. We'd have to wait a few days. And so we make sure that we have systems that are backing up our systems, like our well system. Make sure I have multiple pressure switches, multiple fittings for everything, and that we have duplicates of everything. Because back when we lived in the city, if the power went out or the water went out, the power company or the water company would send somebody out to fix it. And it wouldn't be like immediate, but they would definitely get somebody on it, right? And so we are responsible for that. We have to make sure that we have everything that we need. So for example, we have to make sure that if the power goes out, like it has in the wintertime, we have a backup generator, we have a way to heat our house, and we have a way to get our well pump to work. So here's our generator, and it's big enough to power a ton of stuff. So obviously there's more responsibility, because you're responsible for your water, your power, and everything like that, especially when it gets cold. We weren't used to that being in Southern California, right? Where if the house gets too cold and freezes, you're going to burst water pipes and all kinds of things. So having all of that is extremely important. And that extra responsibility is a result of, in my opinion, extra freedom, right? Where you're free to do whatever you want to. So when we used to live in Southern California, you couldn't paint your house any color you wanted to. You had to put your trash cans out at a certain time and have them back in at a certain time. And like that kind of level of control over your life, it's like you don't own your land. And we obviously own our land. We still have to pay taxes on it, which kind of is like paying rent to the government. Especially because we don't have any public utilities or public services, right? We have to do our own trash, take trash to the dump, or burn it. But as a result, we are able to do whatever we want to. We don't live inside of city limits, which is wonderful. And based on the area that you might be interested in, there's going to be different rules and different laws around that. But since we don't live within city limits, we're able to build whatever we want to. So I want to build a duck house, I can build a duck house. If I want to build a chicken coop, I can build a chicken coop. If I want to do pasture chickens, I can do pasture chickens. If I want to buy a cow, I can buy a cow. If I want to buy goats, I can buy goats. You get the picture, right? I can do whatever I want to. And I just love that about it. There's no HOA, which means that, I'm allowed to do whatever I want to. And by the same token, anybody else in the country out here is able to do what they want to do. And that's why you get country houses that have lawn cars and tractors sitting out and just stuff accumulating. And I'm sure that some people don't appreciate that, but I actually love it, because it just shows that we're able to do whatever we want to with our land. So I guess that's kind of my thought when I see somebody that has an old truck that's just sitting in somebody's yard. And you see it all the time. There's so many cool project cars out here. Definitely going to be getting a project car at some point. But that being said, it just means that you can do whatever you want to, and nobody's going to tell you what to do. So I can't really speak for everybody, since restrictions seem to be easing in a lot of places and things seem to be opening back up and kind of returning back to normal to some extent. But before we left in Southern California, things were extremely stressful. And this is the third thing that I think I love most about this. It is peaceful out here. Our kids love it. They have room to run and play, and they were able to have dogs and chickens and rabbits and ducks and goats, and at some point we'll have cows, and pigs. We're able to do so much out here, and it just is not getting old. I was thinking, do I miss restaurants? Do I miss what is it that I would change? I do miss sushi, but my wife has made sushi that is excellent. It's still probably not the same as like a sushi restaurant because they have, you know, spicy tuna and special stuff like that. But other than that, there's nothing that I miss. My wife is amazing at making everything at home, like the sourdough breads that she's making, all the recipes that she's making, our smoker, the meats that we're getting, like there's just no comparison to it. And so when I think about what kind of stuff that I miss, there's nothing that I miss. And my kids, I don't think they miss anything else either. They love playing. It just is so much more peace. It seems like there was so much anxiety and stress and traffic, and everything was expensive. And we're up in Northern Idaho, so like you go to a place and you don't have to pay to park. Like there's campsites and you can just camp there. And I was like, this is new, this is different. I've never seen that before. So if you're thinking about moving out of the city into the country and you're not sure if you're gonna like it, I'd say test it out if you can. RVs are awesome. I'm sure there's some people who love shopping and like that's their favorite thing to do. And so, you know, all of that, all of the keeping up with the Joneses and, you know, fancy cars and clean cars and like all that stuff. We lived in Orange County, South Orange County, which is like the keeping up with the Joneses Central. You know, everybody has to have their new Tesla and they have to have their new stuff, and you know, it's all about stuff. And it's just so much more simple, so much slower pace, and just more fun. Don't know how else to describe it. So that's kind of my 2 cents about it, and I love it. I don't think I'd have it any other way. I'm trying to think of a situation where I'd be okay with moving back. I just can't think of any reason why I'd want to move back. If I wasn't living at a homestead that we were building, then I'd want to be living full-time traveling in the RV. Like that's just it now. And so I don't know, that's where I am. That's where I think the good life is now. It's not in trying to keep up with the Joneses and live in an expensive place that, you know, sure there's decent weather most of the year. I don't know, it's not for me. If you have any questions or if you have anything, please comment down below. I need to get a subcompact tractor, so be sure to subscribe. I appreciate you. Have a great day.